Alright guys, before we get to the actual video, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and also hit that bell for you guys to be notified every time I drop a new video. And make sure to give me a like, a comment as well, because for one, it'll help the channel out, and for two, it'll benefit you by entering you guys into this month's giveaway. And this month's giveaway is for the Wader Warrior MetaMask Playmat. And to be entered into that giveaway, you guys got to do everything I just said here. And the giveaway winner will be announced the first week of December. Alright guys, enjoy the video. What's going on, everyone? It's that time again to bring you guys another top 5 budget decks for this month video. So let's get into it. Start off by saying budget decks is something we all love and hate at the same time, because if you're a competitive player and spent over almost $1,000 in your deck or $600 in your deck, you don't want to lose to these decks. Then also, not to mention, if you're a budget player, you want to try your hardest to beat the competitive players, but that does not work out all the time. So keep in mind, with this list right here, I'm going to give you guys some pretty cool decks you can play by not spending a lot of money, maybe $100 or less, if that. Some of these decks might be even 50 or 60 bucks. But with that being said, yeah, these are the best budget decks you guys can run. Starting off my list with number 5, Masked Heroes. Now, typically Masked Heroes will be a little bit higher on my budget deck list, but at the same time, they have not been seeing a lot of traction in this current format. Masked Heroes is a deck I've been playing since its inception, since they released a Hero Strike structure deck 2 years ago. And the basic concept is to bring out your Dark Law on the field to banish all of your opponent's stuff, which is pretty solid. The deck could also benefit you if you're running things like Floodgate Trap Hole, Solemn Strike, and any type of thing that negates monster summons as soon as they're on the field, because when you activate your Dark Law, well, while you have your Dark Law on the board and you activate a card like Solemn Strike or something to negate a monster summon, that monster gets banished. So overall, Dark Law.deck, Dank Law, Heroes in general is just a solid deck, and even in today's meta, they can do some naughty things, which is why I got them on this list at number 5. Coming to this list at number 4, I have Cosmos. Now, Cosmos is a deck that in the Zodiac era was pretty solid, simply due to the fact that they were untargetable, making cards like Trident not able to touch them as easy. Cosmo Dark Destroyer is one card specifically that make a lot of players rage. You bring him out, he pops a card on the field, which is really great. He's able to pop himself to do a lot of deck combos, spamming, to enable a lot of their deck's core strategies, which is getting Cosmo monsters to the field. They have Cosmo Dark Lady, which is the Wicked Witch of the West, which is also a Wizard of Oz reference, which is a monster that when she's on the field, you can pay 1,000 life points and negate effects. And the card also abuses the new Virus card, which pretty much states when you tribute off a monster, you pretty much get the entire original Crush card effect Virus. I believe it's called Full Force Virus, that is. So with that being said, the deck is pretty solid. The other YouTuber, Johnny Wynn, aka Agent Persuasion, he topped the regionals with it. I think he went undefeated with his deck. And his whole concept of his deck was to bring out the Cosmo Dog Fighter ships, set Full Force Virus, and pass. Then on every Zodiac player's turn, when he went first, he flipped over Full Force Virus and it was GG no re. I mean, overall, Cosmos is a solid deck in any meta, and in today's meta, it will not be surprising, because while we do have Spirals revving up the meta, spamming out the field, pretty much taking a majority of the top slots in the current format, Cosmos being untargetable make them a great contender for Spirals, because me being a Spiral player personally, if you guys fight against something beefy and you can't beat over it, it's gonna be GG no re. So you cannot target the ships with your Spiral Utility Wire. I mean, Fire won't, Dragon won't be a thing. Overall, Cosmos is just a solid deck for any meta, and in today's meta, it is the same. Coming to list number 3, I have Lightsworn, aka Saxworn, aka Judgment Dragon ruins everyone's fun. Now, Lightsworn, aka Saxworn, is a deck that I personally do not like, but at the same time, I have to respect the power level. The deck pretty much just mill. It can abuse things like Breakthrough Skill. Judgment Dragon is a card, pay 1,000, blow up the board, and you can equip it with some zombie type monsters in your deck, like Plague Spreader Zombie, to do some single plays. But outside of that, in general, Lightsworns have been known to have great spamming ability, the power to blow up your board with cards like Judgment Dragon, And the power to just, just come out of nowhere and just win the games. I mean, how many times have you guys played against a Lightsworn deck and they just had the Judgment Dragon for game? Which is pretty cool and pretty solid. In today's meta, we do have decks like, Spirals, and we do have things like Magicians pretty much running the meta. So, Lightsworn can pretty much fight these decks by blowing them up with JD. Them being mill decks, graveyard reliant, and sending them to graveyard is not that bad because they can easily bring it back. They do have Lila, which also special summons the monsters out of the graveyard, which takes advantage of their graveyard pretty much, which allows for some pretty sick link plays. And a lot of Lightsworn players have the ability to spam out synchros because they have that one Lightsworn guy whose name I can't think of right now, which is a tuner. He's level 4. So they make cards like Cypher and Lord Omega very viable in the deck. And they also make cards like Trishula viable as well. So with that being said, Lightsworn had to be on this list because it's a solid deck. And the deck is relatively less expensive. The cards have been reprinted multiple times. Most of them are common. And yeah, I think you probably pick up the deck for like a good 80 to 100 bucks easily. The extra deck might cost you, so you can definitely build a budget version of the extra deck until you get some time. But with that being said, Lightsworn had to be on this list at number 3 because it is definitely a viable pickup for today's meta. Coming as list at number 2, I have Paleozoic. Now, Paleozoic is a deck that, for whatever reason, is kind of starting to be one of those easy decks that players can go to in whatever format to not die. The deck is pretty much based around traps. They're all trap monsters that have different effects like Book of Mooning, banishing cards, and then when you activate your traps on a board, they special summon themselves out of the graveyard, giving you access to the cards like Totally Awesome. And this can go on for there. Paleozoic monsters deck also abuses things like the frog monsters to help them also spam out link monsters like Mastar Boy, giving them amazing field advantage because they pretty much allows them to do the combos they did pre the link era, which is Paleozoic monster plus Totally Awesome equaling GG no re. Overall, the deck is definitely a solid contender. One of them just topped the ARG, and the entire deck is pretty much commons with the exception of the extra deck. And over time, you can pick up the core of the deck for like 30-40 bucks, and then over time, you can slowly incorporate your wallet into the deck and make a good investment for a deck that's not that expensive at all. So with all that being said, guys, pick up Paleozoic if you guys want something cheap, budget, and effective. And last but not least, my number 1 budget deck to be on this list at the moment, it is Burning Abyss. Now, with the recent events of Burning Abyss doing extremely well at 2 events, YCS London and ARG St. Louis/Collinsville, Burning Abyss is definitely a key player to this meta's rogue decks. Burning Abyss monsters floating is so good. Dante, I remember a long time ago I used to think Dante needs to be banned, but Dante's just a powerhouse. The deck is based around milling similar to Lightsworn. You can actually probably fuse Burning Abyss with Lightsworn if you want. All of the Burning Abyss monsters float. You can play them with cards like any card that has a pitching effect to abuse their effects with Sir and Graph. They can make cards like the Dante fusions to bring out some sick combo plays, and they also have cards like Beatrice to put in work for the deck because Beatrice, as you guys already know, sends things in the graveyard. And yeah, in this current meta, it's probably not as good as it used to be, but results are results. Burning Abyss can abuse things like Mistake, which is a complete budget option. They can abuse things like Horn of Heaven, and if you have the cards laying around, they can abuse things like Anti-Spell Fragrance because they really do not need spells in their deck. So by floodgating the opponent and floating with your monsters, you can do a lot of damage. Now, usually on my top 5 list, you guys already know I usually have some honorable mentions. This time, I only have one honorable mention, which is Barrier Sun. Actually, I guess the second one will be Chain Burn. But Barrier Sun pretty much is a solid deck. The barrier monsters do not care about your opponent spamming the field, and pretty much almost every hand you have is going to be a floodgate hand. So if your opponent doesn't have an out like a Kaiju or a Dark Hole like a Geki, and you have a lot of defense, it's GG no re. And we already know how annoying Chain Burn is a freaking deck. I mean, that deck is dumb and it needs to be banned. But with that being said, Chain Burn is a solid option if you're a player who does not care about anything, you just want to troll the format. It is not the best option because obviously Chain Burn is not topping events, and people are playing the Chain Burn decks, they just aren't doing well with them. So with that being said, Chainburn and Barristan have to be honorable mentions because they are budget options, and they could probably steal you a few games and or win you some matches at locals and on the regionals level. So with all that being said, guys, post your thoughts and opinions about my budget deck list in the comment section down below. If there was a budget deck you guys thought should have been on this list that was not, also let me know about that in the comment section down below. So with all that being said, man, this is Innovation Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm signing out. Peace, guys, and stay innovative. Deuces.